We returned to the house and walked upstairs to the second floor. Elizabeth, leave us. But she's about to object, but then lowered her head obediently. As you say, grandfather. When Ellie had left, Kobayashi-jun leaned against the railing and looked out benevolently at the people dancing below. It is a wonderful evening for dancing, don't you think, Nikolai? Yes, I suppose. I had no idea how this evening was different from any other. To be honest with you, I didn't expect us to meet again so soon. You're talking about me agreeing to play in Ellie's band. No, not at all. What nonsense. He turned to me and smiled approvingly. Moreover, I'm glad that she now has such a serious and responsible friend. His words seemed strange, especially considering our previous conversation, but I knew well that Kobayashi-jun never said anything without a reason. Thank you for thinking so highly of me. Now, what did you want to talk about? Elizabeth said it was something of great importance. Gathered my courage and started. Kobayashi-sama, some time ago I was contacted by people from Soviet intelligence. To be more precise, by Major Irina Mostovaya. He was listening to me with an unreadable expression on his face, and she demanded that I steal some documents from you tonight. Some documents? He finally asked. Certain documents. I swear I have no idea what's in them. I know that there should be a logo on them. The Earth surrounded by rings. Irina also gave me a camera. Here. I took the mini camera out of my pocket and showed it to the old man, but he expressed no interest in it. I understand. This is very interesting. I don't know Miss Mostovaya personally, but I've heard that she's a capable young woman. Couldn't argue with that, but I said nothing out loud. And, as I understand, Nikolai, you've decided not to collaborate with her. Yes. Why? Why? I asked, puzzled. Some questions tend to confuse you with how inappropriate they are. Though there's only one answer to the question, why is the sky blue? Even if not everybody knows it, in my case there was a choice. I really could have tried to find the documents, but in the end I trusted my gut on which was the lesser of two evils. I don't think she can be trusted. For a moment his face became tense. Apparently Ellie's grandfather was carefully thinking about what he was going to say. Does that mean you trust me? Interesting! Interesting! God damn it, they're still hitting me with choices! I thought, okay, we'll pick Kobayashi, and they're like, okay, now we're on our track to the good ending, right? Now you're still hitting me with choices! Fuck! No, I don't trust the motherfucker, but do I say that to his face? Ah! Fuck me. God damn it. Quit hitting me with all these choices, you sons of bitches. Oh, I don't fucking know. Do we say that we trust him somewhat? And is that what like Ellie would want to hear? Do we say like, no, I don't trust you, dude. I had no other choice in this matter. I don't know what this is one where I truly don't know what the right answer is. I see the pros and cons of each choice, but I don't lean one way or the other because I feel like they both I think they both could lead to fucking me over is the thing. With the last choice, I felt like one was more likely to fuck me over than the other. I was wrong. But this one, I feel like they're both equally gonna fuck me over. I feel like they're both equally gonna fuck me over. I think y'all know what time it is. I think y'all know what time it is. I think y'all know what time it is. It's time to consult the fates. Activate monitor. The fates have spoken. The fates have said tails. I will abide by the choice of the fates. I need to pull up the game again. I've already saved once, I'm pretty sure, but I'm just gonna double check that. Yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna save again, even though all I've done is just sit here and contemplate for the last 2 minutes. The Fates said tails. The Fates said tails. But now I don't want to click tails. God damn it. So that's the thing. I'm like, I guess this one, but no. But then I'm thinking about this one? No. This one seems like the better option, right? This one seems like the one you should click. Which was also the choice last time. It was like, you should click the one you think is right. I know the Fates said click tails. The Fates said click tails. But telling this motherfucker, no, I have no faith in you either. I fear you. Is that the right move? Fuck. I know I just consulted the Fates, right? And you know what? The Fates said, I'm clearly not gonna make up my own fucking mind. Click it, goddammit. Click it. Let's go. 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 I fucking clicked it, alright? It doesn't matter how much I sit there and contemplate it. I'm never gonna make the choice on my own. The coin spoke. We're going. Do I have a choice? I blurted out in response. I'm glad you're sincere with me. Woo! He smiled and gave me a pat on the back. It made me freeze, shrink away, an electrical impulse shooting up my spine. Don't worry about a thing. I'll handle it. But these people will do you no harm. But Kobayashi-sama, with all due respect, I'd like to know what to do next, how to deal with her. Next time, if there will be a next time, you'll just tell her that you will not work for her. Will she really accept that? I scoffed sadly. I will bring it to the attention of the right people that you're under my protection. She won't have a choice. His words were surprisingly similar to Irina's promises about the KGB protecting me. The creation of imaginary threats and promises of protection have been the main weapons of skilled manipulators throughout history. On the other hand, what did I expect? A personal squad of bodyguards? That's very generous of you. Of course. He suddenly smiled wide. I can do no less for a young man, so trusted by my granddaughter. You see, Elizabeth might be wayward, but common sense has always been her strong suit. I see. Although, considering everything, I wasn't so sure about Ellie's common sense. Maybe even Kobayashi-jun was no stranger to human follies, and just like any other grandfather, doted on his granddaughter. So don't worry about a thing, Nikolai. Now go. This evening is for you, the young. Talk, dance, enjoy life. Meanwhile, I'll make all the necessary arrangements. I lingered for several seconds but didn't know what else to say. Then, if I may. I searched for Ellie as I slowly walked down the stairs. Under other circumstances, I would have never trusted that sly old man, but now it was about his granddaughter. Even if not entirely, she didn't know all the details, but she still understood that I was in some trouble and needed her grandfather's help. And now, if something were to happen to me, although wasn't I overestimating how important I was to Ellie and the potential pain she'd feel for my loss? Maybe the old man thought she'd get over my disappearance just the same way she'd gotten over breaking her favorite toy when she was little. Those thoughts made my head spin, and I had to lean on the railing. Then why that show? If I was a potential threat, wouldn't it be easier to order Kagamoto to quietly take me outside and bury me somewhere in the forest behind the house? That'd be crazy, right? After all, nobody needs unnecessary witnesses. With every minute, I understood less and less, but I knew one thing for sure. I really didn't want to go home, but Irina could be waiting for me. Finally found Ellie and walked over to her. Here I am. How'd your talk? She suddenly frowned. Nick, you look like you just found out you've only got a couple weeks left to live. Seriously? If Grandpa said something wrong, No, everything's alright. He was very nice and helped me a lot. Well, promised to help. You aren't saying this just to be polite, right? Me? Polite? Never. That just sounds so much like my grandfather. She sighed and looked up at the now empty balcony. All of my friends are scared of him. Can't imagine why. But a weak-willed person wouldn't achieve what he has. Nobody says that. He's just protecting me. I know it might seem like too much sometimes, but that's just how he is. It's always good to have someone who cares about you. You're saying it like... Well, yeah. I don't have anyone. Except Himitsu, and even she had run away. That's
That's very sad.
Sometimes Ellie was virtually exploding with emotion. Other times she seemed inexplicably callous. As she couldn't find the right words to express sympathy. A person can get used to anything.
But I guess even if some people leave us, that doesn't mean we'll always be alone. Soon you might meet someone else. Someone following the same path as you.
Theoretically.
I just mean, don't give in to despair.
I won't.
That's the spirit.
Right. Ellie apparently didn't know how to continue the conversation. I didn't mind saying nothing.
Let's dance a bit more?
She finally asked. Let's. I shrugged and offered her a hand. The second time, dancing wasn't nearly as embarrassing or confusing. We were swirling in the middle of the hall, and I was holding up far more confidently than before.
So are you going to tell me what you and Grandpa talked about?
This question was fair. Anyone would ask the same in her place. I didn't know whether to tell her the truth. She could look calm one second, then explode and do something stupid the next. That moment, most of all, I wanted to forget that Irina might already be waiting for me at home, ready to demand an explanation. I looked at me inquisitively and was about to say something, but I was faster. I told you that you look beautiful today. If not for you, I don't know where I'd be. You and the guys in the band, of course. You guys are exactly what I need now.
Is that related to what you were talking about with my grandfather?
Yes, partially.
Sometimes it feels like you're just using me.
Ellie smirked without a hint of anger. The sorrow in her eyes was unmistakable. And I realized I had to do something immediately. I couldn't just drift along. In this moment, Ellie really was charmingly alluring. But the longer I twisted and turned, trying to hide the truth from her, the more suspicious she became. It wasn't even important that she suspected what she suspected me of exactly. Having an agenda behind my interactions with her or something else. The main problem was losing her trust. Right now, she was the only link connecting me to Kobayashi Jun. There was no reason to believe he'd offer me protection for any other reason. Although I didn't entirely understand the old man's behavior, I had to act on the assumption that had the highest chance of being true. In the end, when you're running away from a lion on the savannah, whether you'll contract malaria is the last thing you worry about. Hell yeah! In the end, I did what seemed to be the only logical thing in the situation. I kissed Ellie. She understood right away what was happening, but then timidly responded to the kiss. Her lips were softer than I could ever imagine. Could it be her first time? Strangely, none of the guests paid attention to us. They didn't care at all for what anyone else, excited by the merriment and the champagne, was doing. Finally, I pulled away from Ellie. If I am, then only for this.
Nick, I wasn't ready.
The element of surprise is the entire point.
Are you serious about all this?
Of course. I like you. If you're thinking about Catherine or Himitsu...
No.
The dance was over and we walked to the least crowded wall.
I don't care about the past. You know...
Ellie livened up, raising at me her eyes full of visceral hope.
I think I fell in love with you right away. From first sight. God, what am I talking about?
She immediately blushed and lowered her eyes. What's so special about me? I was surprised, but noted that deep inside I had a suspicion about her feelings.
You speak so beautifully, and...
If you had to hear me talk, that's not first glance.
Oh, come on, that doesn't matter.
Ellie came close and raised her head, apparently waiting for my reaction. I kissed her again, this time briefly. I don't think it'd be right if your grandfather saw us.
He's already locked up in his office talking about business with someone.
I'm sure he has eyes and ears all around the place.
And I have nothing to be ashamed of.
Nor do I. It's just, after our talk today.
Yeah, by the way.
I sealed her lips with another kiss, long and passionate. When we finally let each other go, Ellie turned all red, a strand of her hair a little out of place.
I didn't expect it to be so...
What?
The S. I need to go to the ladies' room.
You know, I should probably go. I need to be home. I quickly looked at the clock. Before midnight. Yes, before midnight.
Is somebody waiting for you there?
No, it's just... I just need to... Trust me. I'll explain everything later.
Alright.
Ellie agreed reluctantly and took my hand.
See you tomorrow then?
See you tomorrow. And we kissed goodbye.
Hell yeah.
The moment I got into the taxi, I felt extremely tired. The entire trip back from Kobayashi's estate blended into a single dance of light beyond the car's window. Fortunately, my home greeted me with its usual silence. For once, I was happy to hear it. Still had to comprehend and reflect on everything that had happened, but that would come later. At that moment, I had only one desire, one necessity: to sleep. Oh, damn. That jumped ahead quite a bit. We were on September 26th, and now we're jumping into October 5th. Okay, we kicked it into fucking high gear. A week had passed since the ball at the Kobayashi estate. Our relationship with Ellie was developing rapidly, a little too rapidly as it sometimes seemed. Of course, Irina didn't just disappear, and I still had to explain myself to her, but somehow, Kobayashi Jun had kept his word. The young KGB agent didn't look nearly so confident. I learned a lot of new things about myself from her, including that the way home was forever closed to me. Not that I was particularly upset by that. Yeah, and that's another thing I should have considered when I was making that first initial choice. I mean, I did consider it, but I didn't give it enough consideration, is the fact that since I'm on Ellie's route, the fact that Ellie would not leave with you to the USSR, that's not something she would be about, so I kind of should have known what the right answer was there. It's very clear Irina had been completely unprepared for this turn of events. Apparently in her harmonious model of the world, people were meant to act in their programming, like robots. And I hadn't just refused to work with her, I'd gone to their biggest enemy for protection. Disdain, and more importantly confusion, were written openly on her face. Irina never threatened to take any revenge, at least openly, but did make several angry remarks along the lines of me having to forever look over my shoulder from now on. The next surprise was Kagome's release from jail. Same as before, without warning, Kiyama-sensei gathered the entire school in the yard and announced that the police had found new leads and that Kagome was innocent. Just like that, casually and routinely. Today we're accusing you of murdering 8 people and you're probably going to be executed for it. Tomorrow we're very sorry and are letting you go. It was just a mistake, could happen to anyone. Of course I understood that both the accusation and acquittal had been at the hands of someone with power. Irina had bragged that it was her work, but the KGB probably didn't have anything to do with Kagome's release. Who else was able to control the police? Oh, yeah, okay, I see you. I can only think of Kobayashi Jun, but even if it was him, I had no idea what motive he could have for protecting a simple schoolgirl. Yeah. What motivation could he have for protecting Kagome, I wonder? Was it about her father? But the corporation kidnapped him to begin with. The number of questions grew by the day, and meanwhile Ellie seemed to be rising ever above the mundane world. Since we were spending as much time as possible together, our relationship couldn't just stay platonic. No shit, it couldn't stay platonic. Y'all were already making out a week ago at the ball. Did you think that it's like, damn, we started making out and hanging out a lot, like, I guess we're not platonic anymore. Like, no shit, dipstick. I couldn't understand how her grandfather allowed his granddaughter to behave like that. Behaved strangely, not only by Japanese standards. And it wasn't just the risk of an unwanted pregnancy. The prefrontal cortex of a human's brain, the part responsible for rational thinking and self-control, only forms fully by the age of 20. Until then, a person is considered underage in many countries, not fully responsible for their actions. Of course, with a personality like mine, I risked remaining partially disabled for my entire life, but most people do tend to mature with age. No, I didn't mind Ellie staying at my place every other day, but having her security parked the next street over quickly started to attract unnecessary attention from my neighbors. I didn't even seem to notice little issues like that, or that her behavior was a bit frivolous, to put it mildly. She was shining with happiness and love, and, in the shadow that a light this bright inevitably creates, common sense was dying in agony. There was no point hiding our relationship, nor was it possible with Ellie behaving like this. I had to endure several long interrogations from Kyosuke, as well as a conversation with Saya-chan about Himitsu's disappearance. The latter was particularly difficult for me, I can imagine. I expected shouting, shaming, and insults, but Saya did better. She conveyed all her dislike for me without the need to put it in words. After that, I spent the rest of the day feeling and looking absolutely dejected, which upset Ellie. Band practice continued. Nobody in Zed feels being surprised the two of us were dating. While I had to give credit to their acumen, I still couldn't quite get rid of the feeling that there was something going on in the band I didn't know about. As if they weren't mentioning something they weren't really hiding but wouldn't talk about unless prompted. But I still couldn't figure out what that was. Catherine stopped going to school, but we were never officially told that she transferred. I tried to find even a bit of grief in my heart, scratched the old wound raw. That part of my life seemed to have been quarantined off. They say unprocessed memories of trauma might surface again even years later. So maybe I didn't really let it go or forget, and instead had balled everything up so deep inside myself I'd stopped feeling it. Time would show, and I had plenty of it. Or so I wanted to believe. As for my feelings for Ellie, I definitely felt attraction, sympathy, respect, and affection for her. But the word love never came up in my internal dialogue. Is this a bad ending? I compared this relationship with my relationship with Catherine, even my friendship with Himitsu. I noticed plenty of differences, yet almost nothing in common. Everything was different with Ellie. I could have spent an eternity listing the ways we were different. That didn't change how I perceived the relationship. Limes and lemon are different in color, shape, and even taste to an extent. But if you ever decide to wipe your eyes with them, there won't be much difference. Similarly, I used to think all relationships evoked more or less the same emotions. The reality was much more complicated than that. As for Ellie, she obviously didn't seem to have any problems, partially maybe because the relationship was her first. It showed in everything she did, her incredible passion, how she lost track of time, her words and gestures. Now, once I caught myself thinking she had even changed the way she had talked. Sure, I didn't lag behind in the bedroom. Once we were back vertical, every so often I would start to doubt myself. Besides, I constantly felt guilty about using Ellie to get in Kobayashi Jun's good graces, using her to guarantee my own safety. So I was constantly mentally going over every positive thing about our relationship aside from her grandfather's protection, while stubbornly ignoring any negatives. It was simpler that way, but I couldn't shake the fear of one bad apple spoiling the entire barrel. Monday. Ellie woke me up early so we wouldn't be late for school, but by my standards, she'd overdone it by an hour. Which meant there was still enough time to make breakfast, even if I hadn't even if I hadn't had enough sleep. Cute.
I like watching you cook.
I was sitting, wrapped in my shirt, with her feet on the chair. There are 3 things you can watch forever: fire burning, water falling, and other people working. She didn't respond and kept watching my every moment with the same dreamy expression. I can't really cook. You'll see. I'm nothing like... I remembered Himitsu, but there was no point in talking about her. Not only because I was worried Ellie would get jealous. The cook's on TV. Speaking of which, I really did like cooking shows, even if I never tried to make anything I saw in there. I didn't even know why I was so attracted by them.
I'm sure you'll do great.
How's your grandfather? I asked casually.
Same as usual.
Usual?
Nick, is there something you want to say? Then say it.
Something I want to say. Was this the time to be straight with her? I mean, what, have you been homosexual every other time? I'm worried about you. Your friends died just recently. We haven't even had time to mourn them. Indeed, from outside you might think Ellie wasn't even that worried in the first place. Once I got to know her better, I realized that wasn't the case. She just tried to seem strong in any situation, and couldn't quite understand when she had to keep her emotions to herself and when she could let them out.
I feel sorry about Miku and Marie, she said after a small pause. But I didn't know the others that well.
And still...
Of course, you're right.
She lowered her head and sighed.
You think I'm an emotionless bitch?
If I did, you'd taste arsenic in your coffee. I smiled mostly out of politeness. And indeed, I now had a can of coffee in my drawer, as well as a new comb in my bathroom and groceries in my fridge. One day a man in a black suit just rang the doorbell and handed me a bag with all that stuff. In love, just like in anything else, Ellie wasn't looking for compromise, and sometimes that was scary.
What does arsenic taste like?
If I knew, we wouldn't be talking right now. Only the sound of eggs sizzling in the pan broke the uncomfortable silence in the kitchen. The silence was lasting for too long, but I was doing my best not to break it first.
You think there's something wrong with me?
Ellie finally asked in a voice that sounded like she had long accepted a terminal illness and was asking the doctor how much she had left. Wrong how?
Wrong on how I act? I should probably leave.
We're about to eat and leave together for school, I responded, pretending I didn't understand what she was talking about.
Are you tired of me?
Why would you even think that?
Because sometimes it feels like you're too tense around me.
Well, maybe I am. I replied quickly, flipped the eggs, and continued. You're too good for me.
I wish.
Ellie laughed.
When I'm with you, I don't want to ever go back to that huge house. I don't care what others expect of me. You don't mind if I move in, do you?
No, I don't. I barely forced out. What else could I say? That I did? The answer could put an end to our relationship all on its own.
Whatever, it's all just silly talk. Who'd allow me to do that? It's nice to dream sometimes.
I'm going to graduate in half a year. I said, cutting vegetables. Gonna make the pieces all equally thick, and that was irritating me immensely.
And what next? I'll need to go to a university.
I guess. Is that a bad thing?
I don't know. Just can't imagine myself in the world my grandfather lives in. It's hard to even be in his office, as if I can't breathe there.
I could understand her feelings, but I didn't say that out loud.
How can I put it? All those people there, if they had a choice, would they have agreed to work a job like that on their own?
What's bad about their jobs?
Sitting on a desk the whole day, moving papers from one pile to another, and staring at a screen? What's good about that?
Yeah, imagine sitting at a desk and staring at a screen all day. Fucking cringe, right? People can't all be artists. Somebody has to do that too. My words sounded fake, at least to myself, but I understood clearly that I couldn't go along with her here. It was like agreeing to stay up partying with unemployed friends when you had to go to work at 7 in the morning while they could sleep until noon.
Yeah, I get that, but the thought gives me chills.
I doubt you'll have to sit around like that and organize papers.
You mean Grandpa will make me vice president or something right away?
I didn't reply, but it didn't seem like Ellie expected an answer.
And how's that better? Loads of responsibility and even less free time. When are you supposed to live?
Now. I wanted to finish the conversation as soon as possible.
Well, if you insist.
The food's ready. Do stuff yourself.
Alright.
It's from a Soviet film. I think we could probably find a tape of it. Want to watch it together later?
You bet.